Welcome back into GMQC at 11. It is Plants and Gardens Expert Time with Craig Hignight, and I want to be in short sleeves like you.
I know.
It does feel nice out here.
You know, this isn't going to last forever, kids. Eventually, you're going to see me in a long sleeve tee under the shirt.
Hey, at least we've had some rain since the last time we talked, right?
Yeah, thankfully.
All right, let's get to the questions. This one says, can I trim back my rose bush now or wait?
Wait. You don't trim roses until out, I'd say Thanksgiving. You want that ground to cool down. If you prune on them now, you might get some late growth. And if you're a mounder, where you mound your roses up, don't do it until the ground starts to freeze. We want the mice to find a home before you give them a little condo for the winter to live in.
Christy says, I have a lilac bush that is blooming right now, but it looks like it's dying. Could that be the case?
Oh, we've had a lot of lilacs that are stressed right now with that extremely hot, dry weather we had back a few weeks ago. A few blooms on lilacs, magnolias, some apple trees. Don't worry about it. There's plenty of back bud that'll go ahead and bloom next spring. But now we're talking about rain. I only had 0.12 inches in Rock Island. So maybe get out that hose and give these plants some water to get them ready for winter.
You're still nudging Andrew, right? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, okay. How to get rid of mealybug off my houseplant? I've tried neem oil and it didn't work well.
Okay, if you've tried neem oil, then switch up to all seasons oil. Make sure that you wipe off as much of the mealybug as possible before you spray. Get it under the leaves, on top of the leaves, and I would be putting some systemic granules into the soil. And when you do that, don't water thoroughly, like I always tell you to. For at least the next watering or two, let that insecticide come up through the roots to get the insects from the inside out on the plants.
This one's from Timothy. When should I apply a pre-emergent herbicide, and what brand do you recommend?
Well, the pre-emergent goes down in the spring when the forsythia comes in bloom. That's that bright yellow shrub that's very early blooming in the Quad Cities. And the thing is, I don't recommend any specific brand. Just make sure you read the label and put it down properly.
All right, continue to send your questions in. This one says, when is the right time to trim boxwoods?
Boxwoods, anytime except now. This is the time of the year that we're going to put down the pruning shears for a few weeks. If we prune now, you might get some late growth if this weather holds through the fall, and that growth is not going to harden off properly before winter gets here. You might get a little dieback. So wait from here on out. Wait until closer to Thanksgiving, at least Halloween, before you start pruning again.
Bill wants to put some mulch around his rhubarb plants. Should he do that now or wait until the spring?
I'd go ahead and do it now. It's going to give them some protection. It's going to hold moisture, keep weeds down. That's the whole idea of mulch. And rhubarb is very hardy in this area, but it does protect the crown a little bit if you mulch in the fall.
All right, this one says, my tomato plants are still doing well, but the core of the fruit is very hard and seems to have sharp prongs. Are they still okay to eat?
Oh, they're perfectly. This time of the year, when the rain has dropped off, tomatoes are not growing as fast, they're not filling out as well, and sometimes you do get a core that you have to remove, but believe me, the rest of the tomato is still very edible.
When is a good time to transplant mums that are already established?
In the spring. We don't transplant mums until spring now. Thing is that if you've got well-established mums, let them come through the winter where they are. I would like to see mums moved anytime from, say, Mother's Day, Memorial Day, out until about mid-July. And then they've got the rest of summer to go ahead and get their root system reestablished to get through next winter.
All right, let's see. We got about 30 seconds. What type of bush would you recommend for the south corner of a garage? Mostly shade. Mostly shade.
Well, you might try south corner. You might try something like a boxwood or an evergreen of a yew of some kind, possibly one of the hydrangeas that can take some shade. The best thing to do is get out to the nursery and start looking at the backside and reading the labels. Those labels will tell you what plant is going to do well where.
All right, we're going to answer more questions off of our Facebook page. Continue to send them in, and we will see you on the other side. Stick around.
Welcome back into Good Morning Quad Cities at 11. It's Wednesday. That means it's time to answer your burning plant and garden questions. Our plant and garden expert, Craig Hignight.
You guys always make it sound like we're setting the garden on fire.
Well, we can, use some water though for it.
We do. And after a morning in that cold studio, a little fire will do the body good. It's nice to be outside, I'll tell you that. We last left off with Derek. He's wondering, I was just able to put grass seed out this last weekend. How often should I be watering it, or is it too late to water it this year?
Oh, no. Once the grass seed is on the ground and the first time you water it, you have to consider that seed alive and growing, so you never let it dry out completely. That's why we scatter some straw across it. You don't have to water it daily, but don't let it get extremely dry.
All right, this one says, when is a good time to move small redbud trees and divide hostess and move irises and lilacs that no longer get enough sun in current location?
Okay, the redbuds, I'd wait until spring on those. The irises, we aren't going to do them until next July, sometime around the 4th of July. Just keep that one in mind. Hostas, we want to move them when the spikes are only coming up out of the ground about 2-3 inches. That way the foliage won't be severely damaged and look cruddy for the rest of the summer.
This is a beefy one from Rick, but it sounds good here. I pot my pepper and lemongrass and bring it into the greenhouse for the winters. I use neem oil on the pepper roots before repotting it, but I did not do it to the lemongrass last year, and I ended up with aphids taking over before the spring. Did they come in from the soil of the lemongrass, and can I neem oil their roots too?
Well, I've never heard of using neem oil on the roots. Obviously, you've done it at least once, and it has worked. And those aphids, I always say when you got an aphid or a mealybug, a scale, all you've got to have is one pregnant female, and you're off and running, and they don't show up until the middle of winter. Outside, there are plenty of predatory insects that keep the numbers down. So make sure that you're doing a good spray before you bring them in, but always, since you're in a greenhouse, keep that neem oil handy for maybe some winter spraying also.
Okay, this question says, what's the best way to ready your garden for next year?
Well, the best thing is to go ahead and clear it off, get all that debris into a compost pile somewhere. You might even till it. That breaks up the soil and it gets rid of all the hiding places where insects and insect eggs might be. It'll help the soil thaw out better in the spring. Do not cover it with leaves. It's going to freeze solid. It's going to be the last piece of ground in your yard that thaws out next spring.
Ooh, that's no fun. From Mick, I killed a poison ivy with herbicide, but how do I remove the dead vine?
Personally, I don't know how allergic you are. I'm lucky. I don't get poison ivy. I'd leave it until Mother Nature gets rid of it. If you do have to remove it, you put on the long sleeves and the gloves and handle it very carefully, and then everything immediately goes in the laundry after you've got the vine pulled down, stuffed in a bag, and out for the garbage.
All right, this one says, can you split hostess now?
I wouldn't. I really wouldn't be doing that now. We're coming, we're to the end of the season. You could try a few. I mean, and see how it works, but actually spring would be the much better time. What you want to do is get the new bed ready so you can get out as early in the spring when the ground finally thaws out and dries out a little bit.
All right. Well, thanks as always, Craig, for coming in.
Thanks, Craig.
And remember, every Wednesday you can send in your questions to our WQAD Facebook page, and that's where we will get them answered. Well, let's take a live look from our Bridge Point camera right now, I-74 Bridge, GMQC at 11. We'll be right back, but let's see what's coming up on GMA 3. Hey, guys.